Reports of a new form of the coronavirus known as COVID-19 have sprung up in Wuhan.
Tracking the spread of the outbreak, COVID-19 causes deaths around the world.
The World Health Organization has declared COVID-19 a pandemic.
As the virus continues to spread, much of the world is left in panic.
The disease has now touched every single continent.
Here in the U.S., we now have nearly 360,000 confirmed cases, with more than 10,000 deaths.
COVID-19 ventilator shortage kicks global industries into production frenzy.
My name is Brian Benaduce. I've been suffering from acute anxiety for decades.
I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a psychologist. But I do consider myself an expert when it comes to dealing with anxiety and panic. I suffered from agoraphobia. That is the absolute fear of leaving your safe place. For decades, I suffered in silence. Back then, mental health wasn't something people talked about. But when I found out what it was, I cured myself. I used simplistic tools to do that. 20 years panic-free. I'd like to offer my advice, my skills, my emotional backpack to you, dealing with COVID-19. And I'm hoping and I pray that my tools and my words might offer some help to calm some of the nerves and the anxiety that are out there today.
Everybody worries and everybody has anxiety. And an anxiety attack is essentially taking worry and making it to its worst form to where you are panicking over things that does not affect you physically. A panic attack is when it affects you emotionally and physically, and then you need to do something about it. It starts out, you think you're going to go blind, you think you're going insane. You think that you're mentally going to go insane, and your body's going to take over and do something that you don't want it to do. But this fear is so prevalent and so it's so real that it takes over your body, and you're afraid to get a haircut, you're afraid to go to the bank, you're afraid to go on ski trips, you're afraid to do anything, especially in front of your friends, because they're going to think you're showing weakness. You can't do this, you can't do that, and what's wrong with Brian? He's going crazy. So I lied. I lied about a lot of things. I embellished, I lied. I faked illnesses to get out of things, because every time you go to do something, you always have those what we call what ifs. And there's nothing positive that can come after what if when you're suffering from what we now call agoraphobia. What if my throat closes? What if I pass out? What if I get dizzy? And all these what ifs start happening. And we didn't have computers back then. Thank God, because I probably would have been on WebMD for 24/7. But at least I would have heard the words panic, anxiety, agoraphobia. I didn't know what it was. I was 37 years old when I saw an infomercial on TV, Lucinda Bassett's Midwest Center for Anxiety and Panic. That was the first time I ever heard the words panic, agoraphobia. Everybody feels anxious, but panic and agoraphobia, I never heard those words. And she was describing every feeling, every incredible thought and fear I've ever had. And I stayed up all night and I waited for my wife to wake up, and I told her about it. And all of a sudden she started crying, and it explained so much because of things that seep through the cracks, if you will. So once I realized that this was a mental disorder, this was something that was created. This is something that I call my anxiety tree. This is something that started out at 5 years old, worried about going blind and keeping the light on so you don't go blind. And when my parents used to leave, thought my throat was closing. And the tree just blossomed, and the tentacles got worse, and the torment and the panic and all these different things start spiraling out of control, because nothing's there to clip the trees, because you don't know how to clip the trees. You don't have the mental medication to do that, or the mental capacity to do that. Once I realized what it was, it being a fix-it kind of guy, I had to find a way to fix it.
I don't watch TV. I don't get into the numbers and, the horrible deaths that are happening. And I choose to do that so my kids see me dealing with it that way, because I don't want to be in a ball rocking back and forth, if you will, of worry and dread. I want to live my life. And of course, we've all changed the way we've lived our life. But internally, I want to live my life with more of happiness than the dark place I was before. I refuse to go back to that place. Stay in touch with your friends, because we need to be in touch. It's very important. When we don't have human touch, we can obviously, this is fantastic, even what we're doing today, to get messages out there of hope. It's a word that I use a lot because that's what people are looking for. Dealing with this COVID-19, that's what we're looking for, is hope.